Hi again, you guys. Um, so in this video, I want to share a story about my ghost hunting experience. So I was about 20 years old. I lived in an apartment complex that was right beside a cemetery. But I did notice at the time the way the whole complex was laid out and the way the cemetery was laid out. And then there was this one bigger house, that like a duplex thing, that I believe the complex I lived at, the apartment complex I lived in was probably built over the cemetery because this was a really old, from like the 1800s, and it seemed like they were all the time burying people out there, and it's like, where are they finding the space for this? But anywho, okay, that aside, so this was in early October. Um, I want to say 2005. Yeah, because I was born in 85 and I was like 20 years old. So, okay. 2000, say about 2005. And they were saying, like, on the news or something that, and I think this was like October 6th and 7th, if I recall correctly, that they said that you could see like Venus or something if you're in an area where you can see a clear sky, that those nights you'd be able to see that planet. And so I took a camera, had a digital camera, and I went to the cemetery because I thought, okay, there's like, even though it was an apartment complex, there was a housing complex. I mean, it was a busy area and there were a lot of trees. And I thought, well, you know what? I'll just go to the cemetery and just film because there's areas where there's no trees where I can see the sky pretty good. So I went out there early evening, and there was. I went out there and I started recording. I wasn't really able to see much in the sky, but I was taking pictures, and I heard what sounded like kids um, shouting at me, like saying "yoo-hoo," and I could hear people. It sounded like people were talking and stuff and shouting stuff at me from a distance. I didn't see anything, but part of the cemetery, across from that was like a big open field. And I thought, well, maybe there's people who can see movement walking around the cemetery from a distance. I don't know, but that's what was happening. But I was ignoring it and taking pictures. And so I went back to my apartment and I uploaded the pictures. As I guess I was taking pictures of the sky, but I was also just taking pictures in general for some reason. Not sure why, but I was just taking different pictures. So when I uploaded the pictures, I saw very strange things. There was what looked like a person climbing over a tombstone. There was what looked like a little boy and girl side by side looking at me. And there was what looked like aliens, about 3 alien looking creatures together with big black wings huddled together. They were not looking at me. I believe this was the first night because I went out there 2 or 3 different nights. But that was the first night, and I was scared because it wasn't even like I went a distance. Like, literally, it was pretty much the backyard. Like, I looked out the window and I'm looking at the cemetery and I'm looking at my pictures. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's just right outside. Like, seriously, all this stuff is showing up in the pictures. So I sent a bunch of them to a woman that I knew, and she was not a believer or anything, but she was like, I think she was sending them to people too. And it was, I really wish that I had these pictures. I know I have somewhere picture CDs from like 15, 20 years ago, so I can see if some of them are on there, but that computer, it either crashed or something happened. And this was before I had an external hard drive. And I think everything was erased. shortly after that, which was very aggravating because I don't have pictures to prove it. Though I do think I could. It's the same cemetery. I do think I could, but I don't want to go into the cemetery and do that. I don't want to be stepping into that kind of territory again. Willingly, knowingly. Maybe if I had a drone or something. But anyway, okay. I don't recommend it. Please do not go out and do this for the sake of getting these things on pictures. Because I've looked it up, and a whole lot of people have experienced the same thing. Or they go to a cemetery in the evening, and you got all these figures of people showing up. But they're not, I'm telling you. Now, okay, I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent there. So after I noticed these pictures, I noticed these things in the pictures, and I'm looking out the window. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. My grandmother's buried out there. I didn't see anything that looked like her. I was actually nervous because I had a sheet on the bed that had belonged to my grandma. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's out there. And here's where I messed up. I was not very spiritually developed in my understanding of God and biblical things, that I started to question the Bible. I know, that's what I would say. I know the Bible says when we die, we either go to heaven or hell. But I know what I'm seeing in these pictures. That is a mistake that a lot of people make. A lot of people make. The Bible may say this, but I know from experience. And your experience can be very, very misunderstood. And so, the next evening, I decided I was going to go out there and do the same thing. And then I started to sense things approaching me. And, I believe I went out there, oh gosh, because this was like 17 years ago. 17 and a half years ago. So, I went out there. I know I went out there at least 2 nights in a row. But it seems like the third night I did go out there. And then I started to feel sick or something like that. And I had like 3 nights worth of photos. Creepy stuff. And other people, well, this other woman that I had sent it to, she was noticing things that I didn't even notice. She's like, did you see that like 8-foot size nun pushing a cart? And I found it, and I saw, yeah, I see what you're talking about. And there was a blur, about a 20-foot blur behind this thing. And I thought, it moved that quickly. When I took the picture, it moved about 20 feet probably in 1 second. The reason I say probably about 8 feet tall is because I was comparing it to a tree that was next to it. And there was a lot of crazy things. A lot of what looked like balls of light, different colors. Red, white, and green. Red is usually, you might see an evil thing that's red. Green, like an emerald green, that's like our spirit color. And white is usually, there was a lot of that too, like white balls of light. I want to say maybe that was more angelic, but I don't really know. But here's the thing. After the third night, I stopped because I had gotten up early. I think it was the next morning. Like, I went out there maybe 3 nights in a row, and then the next morning after that. I got up from bed. I was walking towards the bathroom, and in the living room, something happened, and I collapsed. And, I know that I wasn't out for long because I had 3 cats. And when I raised myself up and I looked around, I saw my cats, and they were standing there with their backs arched and their tails poofed. So, like, they were scared. They saw me fall. And I realized I was just like a foot or 2 from a glass table. So I was so glad that I didn't actually hit that. But I thought, wait a minute, why did I collapse? And then I was struck financially really bad. And I started having dreams about things that were out there. And I realized that I was questioning God without an understanding of the scriptures. Now, the Bible says we either go to heaven or we go to hell. There are angels and there are demons, and there are familiar spirits. Now, a familiar spirit is an entity that stays with a person throughout their life. It's not them, but it's like a carbon copy of them that's not really them, if that makes any sense. And different people, myself included, have seen things like that. When I was a teenager, I could sense that my brother was walking up the steps and then probably going to go to the bathroom, return, and go to his room. And I leaned over because I was going to say something to him because my bed was near the door. And when I leaned over, I saw it was like a silhouette. It was like a 3D shadow person. It looked exactly like him if he was turned into a shadow. It had his presence. It walked like him, but it walked up the steps and walked straight into the bathroom and disappeared. That was the first time I experienced that. And since then, I have talked to other people who said, I saw what looked like a walking shadow. It's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I do know what you're talking about. And it carries that presence of the other person, dead or alive. Like for example, in the Larry King, after Michael Jackson died, and he's in Michael Jackson's house, the Neverland estate or whatever, and you see, and I think this was seen live actually. You see what looks like Michael Jackson's spirit walking in the background, passing from like one room to another. And people were like, oh, wow, that was his spirit. That was an apparition that just appeared. It's like, it was not him. It would really help people to really get an understanding of familiar spirits. Because I don't know a whole lot about them, but they know that person. So when you see people do seances and these things and they think, yes, I've got this person has appeared to me and is talking to me, it's not them. It is the familiar spirit that was with them, that grew up with them, that knew them more than any person probably did. Even to where that thing could pass as the person. So I didn't really know and understand all of this. And I started thinking about buying flowers and taking them to the graves. And I thought, oh, I've seen little kids have appeared in these pictures. And they're just out there. How sad. And looking back on it, I didn't do that. I didn't bring them flowers. But I thought, you know what? That would have been me bringing sacrifices, bringing offerings. Like bringing an offering to evil spirits, basically. Because those kids that died, they were in heaven. But after that, I lost my place to live. And I had become sick, but then I got better and I lost my place to live. I learned a lot from that. Anytime I see somebody talk about that, like, oh, something showed up in the camera, on camera at a cemetery, it's like, please do not ghost hunt. The thing about that is, and you see this even in the Bible, Legion, I believe it was in the Gadarenes. Where was he? He dwelt among the tombs. He would cry out and cut himself. He was fully possessed by a legion of demons. And that was his place. That's where he wanted to be, among the tombs. Well, it was a cemetery. And I believe that there are certain areas, certain places that are basically spiritually like demonic playgrounds. I know all of my life, anytime I am near a cemetery, It's kind of hard to explain. It's like I can sense something. It's a different type of feeling. It's almost got a sound to it, like a high-pitched frequency. If you get what I'm saying. And when you step into a cemetery, it's got a completely different feel to it. And I've noticed that about some areas, like a forest in the woods. Sometimes it's that if I feel like I'm in a cemetery. In some areas where there are lakes, I sense that too. Almost like there was a death there. My suggestion, even though as fascinating as it is, especially if you go someplace and some freaky thing shows up on camera, whether it's a video or picture, it can be so tempting to want to go back and try to cause it to happen again, or see if it happens again. Take more pictures there. I'm the kind of person, I might with a camera try to film every area and just see what might show up. But I learned a big lesson from that experience. And I was happy to get away from that area. But I strongly discourage ghost hunting because you're getting more into their territory. When you start dabbling in that, you're opening up a can of worms. You know what I mean? Like you can cross lines where now you're in demonic territory, and you don't want to go into their zone unless you're going to do some kind of an exorcism or something like that. But if you're doing it for entertainment purposes or out of curiosity, it's not safe. I know for me, like I said, I collapsed. And I was fortunate that I didn't hit my head on the glass table, because when I, came out of that, yeah, I did have a bump on my head, but fortunately, whew. So anyway, yeah, that was my experience. Are you serious? Seriously? So you're not doing it now. You're not doing it now. So what are you and Benjamin doing back there?
This.
You watching a movie?
No, I'm just trying to watch a show. The Polly Pocket.
Polly Pocket?
Yeah, Polly. But I didn't want to type that in. I can't do that.
I saw some of those. Your birthday's coming up. I saw some of those Polly Pocket things. I bet you'd like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yep, just another experience I wanted to share. So, yeah, be careful what you do. You can be playing with spiritual fire and not even realize it until maybe your world turns upside down. There's people who do that kind of stuff and end up in accidents.
Now I can go to the bedroom.
Yeah. You can end up in accident. Not you, but I mean, there's people who've ended up in accidents. And are you all right, baby doll? You throw yourself down. You better quit that. Oh, I typed in Polly Pockets. And anyway, you just want to stay safe. Stay in God's zone. The closer you get with God and the stronger your walk with God is, the more spiritually in tuned you will be. That you do not need to go out seeking things. Things will just happen. Or you can pray about it and God will show you. But where you've got this protective barrier to where God can allow you to see things and experience things. But it's within His boundaries. But if you choose to go out and do your own thing that's outside the will of God, it can be very harmful in a lot of ways. And really what we want to do is, of course, build ourselves up spiritually and as strong as we can spiritually. And I think it's endless. I don't think we ever reach the pinnacle of that. I think we just keep moving forward with God in Christ. And yeah, let him show you. If he wants to show you something or give you dreams and visions, things that are way, way, way better than trying to go out and seek it, which again is dangerous. So anyway, I definitely don't want anybody to see this and think, oh, I think I'm going to go do that. Oh, I know where a cemetery is nearby. I want to go do that. That's not what I'm telling you to do. And I know sometimes people will take what I say. It's happened before. Somebody took something that I said, a young person, and it's like, no, that's not. I'm not telling you to do it. I strongly discourage you from doing it. All right, so that's all I have to say about that. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I really want to grow in this. I'm trying to do as many videos as I can. That's why, trying to put out like 5 videos a day for now, because I realize I do have so many different things that I've experienced and stories, true stories that I want to share. And after I get through a lot of these true story videos, then I want to do more in-depth Bible teachings. So that is to come. And I'm also going through the Bible and doing my own audio Bible that I'm going to make free. Of course, Bible's free. And, you can download it, and I'm going to upload each individual book. So far, I just have Genesis. I'm working on Exodus. But anyway. All right. I love you guys. God bless. Thank you so much for watching.